Hey, I'm Rejected Shotgun. So information on the mysterious 25th hero is already coming out, not even 2 weeks after Orisa's release, and an interview with Jeff Kaplan led to some very interesting questions about Overwatch's campaign and possible future story modes. There is a lot to talk about today, so let's get right into it. It's only been 2 weeks since Orisa was released, and I personally wasn't expecting any new hero information to come out at all. But I was very surprised this morning when I woke up and Jeff Kaplan had been interviewed and he was talking a lot about the 25th hero. In an interview with IB Times, who are a UK news company, he said, "Yes, I absolutely know who the next hero is going to be." He said, "The next hero is very far along in development, so we're at the point where we're doing art for that hero. We're doing a lot of aggressive playtesting. So they're working with the hero in development, they're using this hero's abilities, and they're playtesting against all the other heroes, and they're doing this very aggressively so they can find any bugs, any game-breaking glitches, or anything. Essentially, all of the abilities for this hero are completely fleshed out already. They're on to the point where they've handed the artists all the information about the hero and they're like, show us what you got, make an amazing hero appearance for this character, make them look great because we already know what they're gonna do. I just want them to look awesome." So that's how far along in development this hero is. And if you've been watching my other videos and you know about the update that's going to be coming out on April 11th, then you know that this might tie into that and that we might be getting something related to this character in the big April 11th update that's coming out very soon. Now, the interviewer asked Jeff if this new hero was going to be a defense hero because, to be fair, the only category that hasn't received a new hero in the game so far is defense. With Ana, we got a support hero. With Sombra, we got an attack hero, and with Orisa, we got a tank hero. So reasonably, you would think, you know, maybe the next hero is going to be a defense hero. In fact, I had thought about this myself. But Jeff said, no, it is not safe to assume that this hero is a defense hero. So I think it's safe to assume that this is probably going to be an attack or a support hero. I really don't think they would add a second tank after they just added Orisa. So I think, and this is of course speculation, that it is safe to assume that it is either an attack or a support hero, and I would personally prefer it if it was a support hero because there are only like 5 support heroes in the game right now, and one of them is Symmetra, who's really not even a healer. They're just in the support category just because they should really be moved to defense, seriously. So there will be more info on this tomorrow. They're going to release the full interview with Jeff. This is just a little tidbits at the beginning, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jeff has to say tomorrow about all this new hero info, and you can be sure to tune into my channel and find out all the new info as it comes out tomorrow and the following days. So the very same interviewer who interviewed Jeff about the new 25th hero was also very curious about a topic that I know is very near and dear to a lot of people in the community, and that is the Overwatch campaign. Everyone wants a story mode for Overwatch. If you actually listen to the lore and follow along with the story, you know this entire universe is very, very fleshed out, down to the very companies and organizations in this universe. It's a whole huge lore, and there's a lot to it. So everyone wants an Overwatch story mode or a campaign. And so the interviewer is asking him, will there ever be an Overwatch campaign? But Jeff knows it's a little more complicated than just answering such a simple question. So he was kind of talking about how Overwatch is a 6v6 multiplayer game at its core. It's not really made for story missions. You can't really turn a fighting game into a story game just by tweaking a few things. It's not exactly built for it. He was saying that if you really want to build a campaign or a story mode for a game, then you're gonna have to build the game from the ground up for that. All story, solo, campaign games in the past have been built up from the ground up to be specifically that story game. Overwatch was not built for that. It was built to be a multiplayer game. And to just say that you could add a campaign onto a game like Overwatch is a little ridiculous, because you can't just patch in something as huge as a story, because in most games a story is the entire game. You can't just patch that in super easily. So the interviewer was also curious, if there's not going to be a story mode, surely you'll have to expand on the Overwatch story in some way that's similar to a story mode. And Jeff said, yeah, that's kind of what's happening with Junkenstein's Revenge in the past. Junkenstein's Revenge was a short comical narrative story about the heroes in the Overwatch universe and a fake kind of Frankenstein story. One of the interesting things when Jeff was talking about Junkenstein's Revenge is how when he was talking about it, he said said how players really enjoy the gameplay and the ideas that were introduced in Junkenstein's Revenge, and that he really wants to continue doing these things in the future, and that would be absolutely fantastic because, as I've said in multiple of my other videos, I absolutely loved Junkenstein's Revenge, and to date it is my favorite event they have done, and I only hope that they will top it in the future with some more PvE events, because fighting those hordes of Omnics with your buddies and creating a team and working together to beat that hard mode, to protect the door as much as you can, it was an absolute blast, and that was probably the best event that Overwatch has gotten in its lifetime. At the very end of this, Jeff is cited saying that they have 25 million active players in Overwatch. 25 million. That's not 25 million registered accounts. That's 25 million players who are actively playing Overwatch. That is incredible. Apparently, he was saying this a lot through the interview, and I don't know if that was in a bragging way, but if it was, he totally deserved to say that, because Overwatch is an absolutely huge success of a game, and if I were in their shoes, I would be immensely proud of that. If you enjoyed this video, I strongly recommend you check out some of my other videos. I've been covering all the Overwatch news for the past few months, and I've been keeping up to date with all the most important information that you want to hear. So if you've been enjoying this content, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe, or at least leave a like on this video if you liked it. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.